Welcome in, everybody. Before we get started, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You know, all the YouTubey things. Forget what you think you know about justice. Welcome to the Virtual Juror, where snark is reality, but evidence is royalty. Where at first we look at the FACS, or facts and conjecture shared, before we get into the real stuff. Of course, the Kouri and Kouri Richins story reads like a tragicomedy of errors. This part of the timeline will take us up just before Kouri was arrested. It started as a love story, quickly devolved into an alleged financial fiasco, and ultimately what appears to be a plot to end Eric's life. They met while Kouri was working at a Home Depot, and considering Eric owned a masonry business, we suspect he was there frequently. They dated. They appeared to fall in love, and sometime in 2012, their first child was born. By 2013, they were well on their way to marriage. However, on the day of the wedding, Kouri was met with, surprise, a prenuptial agreement. They both signed the prenup, but in a bit of dark irony, this agreement makes it financially unappealing for Kouri to divorce Eric, but provides for a large potential windfall should he pass away while they were still married. One can almost hear the gears grinding, plodding away. Over the next few years, in a hopefully wholesome beginning to their family, Kouri and Eric welcomed 2 more children into the world, making them a family of 5. But while Eric was busy being a dad, Kouri was allegedly busy with a different kind of life planning. Somewhere along the way, between 2015 and 2017, Kouri reportedly started what can only be described as a financial side hustle, taking out 4 life insurance policies on Eric, without his knowledge, totaling nearly $2 million. By the time 2019 and 2020 rolls around, the alleged fraud has hit a fever pitch. Kouri reportedly takes out hundreds of thousands in loans in Eric's name, forges documents, including a power of attorney, and even siphons his business's tax payments. She acquired $250,000 in a revolving line of credit, withdrew $100,000 from his bank accounts, and borrowed $30,000 using his credit cards. What about those siphoned tax payments, you ask? Those were for over $134,000. By late 2020, Eric had caught on to some of her deceptive financial gaming. I guess she wasn't as smart as she thought she was. Eric confronted her about the money, and she pinky promised to pay it back. But some pinky promises aren't locked in forever, or maybe she had her fingers crossed behind her back. Eric started making some plans of his own, perhaps sensing a shift in the marital tide. He quietly began his exit strategy. He consulted a divorce attorney and an estate planning lawyer. He changed his will to benefit his children, created a living trust, transferred his partnership interest in his business into the trust, and placed his sister, Katie, with his father as backup, in charge of the trust. This effectively cut Kouri out of his assets. As her debt grew, spiraling out of control, unaware of the ramifications of a new trust putting a damper on her financial plans, in January and February of 2022, Kouri allegedly decided to take a more direct approach. She reportedly contacted a friend, CL, to obtain fentanyl on her behalf. Then, she reportedly chose Valentine's Day as the day she would take her first strike. Eric still gave Kouri some trust and ate a sandwich she had prepared. He became ill and suffered what appears to be an allergic reaction, and had to use his son's EpiPen and Benadryl to overcome the symptoms. Later, he told a friend he suspected Kouri had poisoned him. This sandwich should probably get its own place in the Hall of Fame for world's most suspicious meals. He survived the attempt, but a few weeks later, he wasn't so lucky. Later in February, Kouri contacted her friend again. She claimed to need more fentanyl, saying what she was given previously wasn't strong enough, and reportedly asked for some Michael Jackson stuff. Side note here, Kouri really isn't all that knowledgeable about drugs, considering the Michael Jackson stuff was propofol, an extremely powerful sedative, not fentanyl. Perhaps a better choice would have been a quick Google search, instead of asking her drug dealer friend for pop culture references. Then, on March 3rd, Kouri's alleged debt totals over $2 million, and the day before Eric's death, she reportedly talked to a moneylender and had a lengthy conversation with the IRS. Clearly, the universe was giving her a subtle hint that her financial plans weren't working out. Later that evening, she made Eric a Moscow Mule to drink. None the wiser, Eric drinks it down. And he died sometime that night or in the early hours of March 4th. An autopsy later revealed that he had 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl in his system, and Kouri's phone records suggest she was not in fact asleep, as she told authorities. The very next day, on March 5th, Kouri's debt reportedly skyrockets to a whopping $4.8 million. But instead of mourning the loss of the husband she supposedly loved, she closes on a 22,000 square foot, unfinished mansion. And then she has a celebration. Not to be discouraged, on March 6th, Kouri attempted to access Eric's safe, which had between $125,000 and $165,000 in it, by asking a locksmith to drill into it. Katie, Eric's sister, confronted Kouri and told her to leave the safe alone. This caused a fight between the women, and Kouri was on the hook for assault for punching Katie in the face and neck. When the sheriff responded, they contacted Eric's estate attorney, who informed Kouri about the living trust Eric had set up without her knowledge. It appears things settled down for a while after this, but in March 2023, nearly a year to the day after Eric's death, Kouri published a children's book about coping with grief called Are You With Me? A title that, in retrospect, sounds more like a threat. The book and her brief publicity tour were cut short when she was arrested. Once she was determined to be a suspect, Amazon pulled her book from the shelves. The irony, so thick, you could shape it like clay. So far, this saga is a testament to the idea that some people will go to extremes to get what they want. Well, that's all we have. So as always, love your family, love your pets, love your neighbors, and we'll see you next time.
One road to mercy, one road to pain. Every choice here leaves a blood stain. At the crossroads of fire, what do I choose? Every step forward, there's something to lose. Voices screaming, justice change, rattling fate. What's the price for